All right, the NFL season just wrapped up, so let's waste no time as we've got about 5 weeks until free agency begins. Let's begin by going over some QB free agents for the upcoming offseason. We begin with Daniel Jones. He had a pretty solid first half of the season, then had a few rough games there, particularly against Atlanta and Pittsburgh, eventually tore his Achilles. So there's going to be some injury concerns with him, but that first half of the season, he was really building himself a really strong market. But again, the injury is now going to cause some questions with it. I don't expect him to be ready for training camp. There's a good chance he will be just because of when he got injured. But on the safer side, going to assume not going to be ready until roughly the preseason, maybe even week one. And that's definitely going to hurt his market. Again, he played well, but again, those games against Atlanta and Pittsburgh are going to play a factor as well. I expect him to return to Indianapolis to some degree. He had good success there. He knows that system really well. And again, coming off of that injury, that Achilles injury, it's good to be in a location that you already know the offense for, so you can put more of a focus on the rehab. But if he wants to get a realistic shot at still being a starter, Indianapolis is probably the better bet. As I think some other teams that again are not running similar schemes or are not having a similar offense are going to be more likely to go for a quarterback that will be there for the offseason workouts. I think Spot Track has his contract near closer to what Sam Darnold got last offseason. I don't expect that just because of the injury. So I do expect him to turn to Indianapolis. Now, one of those other quarterbacks I think is going to have a bit more of a heavy market for is Malik Willis. He was called upon late in the season for a spot start against Baltimore in relief for an injured Jordan Love. And he played pretty well in that one start, both through the air and with his legs. He's going to be a name to watch for multiple of teams that can be looking for a bridge quarterback or a quarterback that could take that Sam Darnold type of career turnaround. Malik Willis is going to be a hot name. Matt LaFleur knows that. The feeling is he's not going to be returning to Green Bay. He's going to get that chance somewhere with a team that's going to give him a true proper opportunity. Bridge Arizona is a good one that kind of a question mark still surrounding their quarterback. They could take a flyer. Miami's another one. Maybe even the Jets as well, as their plan of quarterback was Dante Moore. He ends up returning to Oregon for another season in college. It'd be a decent value. I think Spotrac has close to 10 mil AAV, which I wouldn't be completely surprised by. But all around, I think Malik Willis is going to be a very interesting player to watch next year, no matter where he signs. Even if it is as a primary backup role, he's a really solid backup. But I think he's more likely he's going to be able to chance to get to compete in the offseason and get that potential starter role. Definitely someone I wouldn't be too opposed with Miami getting because the Green Bay connection with him and the new head coach Jeff Hafley. But all around, I think Malik Willis is just going to be looking for a spot to start. All right, so now we get into some kind of weird names of this. I say weird, but more guys are going to be primary backups. Russell Wilson's going to be the start with it. He had a rough season in the Big Apple. At the same time, though, it did kind of play out how I feel like the Giants were expecting it to play out, and that is Russ starts at the beginning of the season. He started the first month or so, and then Jackson Dart took over from there. And now Jameis Winston is going to be the primary backup going forward, and Russell Wilson's going to be let to walk. Russell Wilson's going to have a very interesting lookout going forward. I could find himself in a similar. I could see him finding himself in a similar role to that of the Giants this past year, which is just a bridge quarterback. Maybe he starts the first month or so of the season while a team with a late first, day two quarterback is trying to feel out with them. I'm not sure exactly what teams that are going to look like just because of the nature of this upcoming QB draft class being a bit weird, but we'll go into that on a different day. But I do doubt he'll ever truly get a starting job again. It's kind of unfortunate for just the kind of guy Russell Wilson was in Seattle throughout most of his tenure. He goes to Denver, signs that massive deal, kind of just gets another rough shake, and hasn't really been the since same. So going to be someone who's probably going to take more of like a Joe Flacco type role going forward, and we're going to talk about Flacco here in a second. Team is going to be looking to be drafting a potential franchise quarterback in this year's class. Could use Russ, or maybe there's a team that's potentially looking for 2027 being the year, and they just need someone that can take a relatively cheaper deal. So Russ's AAV, I could see being in any type of value. Who really knows what his exact worth is going to be? All right, so mentioned him in the previous section. Let's talk about him now. Joe Flacco is a free agent once again, and this is a great veteran backup option for a team with a young quarterback that could really use a mentor and just all around be someone that can step in if need be for an injury or for a rough stretch. And Flacco's going to be able to do a good enough job to get you through that. Maybe not necessarily win you a ton of games, but can get you through it. He made the Pro Bowl last year as a member of both the Browns and the Bengals. So you can take that as you will, as the Pro Bowl is a bit of a weird topic nowadays, but he still made the Pro Bowl. He stepped in for an injured Burrow last year and had some really fun games and some really exciting games, particularly that one against the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. He played great in that one and got a very nice win for Cincy. And that game alone kind of kept their season alive for as long as it did. He's going to have a market for teams, again, looking for someone that is a veteran backup and could step in and can learn a system quickly and just be able to help out a younger guy during training camp. But his market's a bit different, I feel, than what a Russell Wilson's gonna have because he is more ready to embrace that backup role. I could see him staying in Cincy. I feel like that connection worked decently well also. Indianapolis is another bet, just him and Anthony Richardson, similar to 2 years, similar to 2024. But that one's a bit more of a stretch, I feel. There's definitely a market for him. It's a different enough market from Russell Wilson to where they won't be competing for anything. I think Joe Flacco is gonna probably sign first and thus be able to hit the ground running first and be able to learn that offense quicker. All right, there wasn't really a true fifth quarterback, so we're gonna talk about Aaron Rodgers for a second. There's a ton of questions surrounding Rodgers. One is that if he's even going to play next year. I'm going to be under the impression that he's going to want to play because that's Aaron Rodgers for you. I don't think he's going to want to go out the way he did against Houston, though if he does end up hanging it up, that's a very fair way to do so. Tom Brady had a very rough wildcard game in his last game. Dan Marino had a terrible wildcard game against Jacksonville in his last one. And many, many, many other quarterbacks have had tough wildcard losses be their final games of their careers, and most of them have even gone to the Hall of Fame as well. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to definitely be up to him. At the end of the day, if he does want to return, I think there's only really one team that can welcome him back and give him a starting job that he's going to want because he's not going to want to be a backup anywhere. And I think the Steelers is pretty much the only team that's going to be able to welcome him back with open arms. They just hired Mike McCarthy to be their head coach. They have that connection from their time in Green Bay when they won a Super Bowl together. The Steelers have been a team in purgatory since pretty much 2016, 2017. And maybe this is the connection that gets them out of that and into the new era of Steeler football. I kind of doubt it. I have no real expectations for how Rodgers is going to play next year, if he's going to play next year, and if he's going to be back in Pittsburgh. That's just the more obvious one. And all around, I think he likes Pittsburgh and likes playing there, but we'll see. Time will tell with Rodgers. All right, so those are just some very quick thoughts about 5 of the QB free agents. Could have had some ideas for other ones, but due to how the head coaching carousel played out, I decided against it because my ideas for those guys are now dead in the water. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Subscribe if you're new. Let me know your thoughts down below, not only on these 5, but on some of the other QB free agents. And I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.